Have you ever seen this error in your browser console that says blocked by course policy? If you notice this screenshot, it says something like access to script at this URL from origin. This URL has been blocked by CORS policy. Request had a target IP address space of unknown, yet the resource is in IP address space private. Although this error is quite detailed, but what we are trying to do in this video is we are trying to understand what this course policy is and how to resolve this. And to do this, I'll explain cores in a simplest way possible using Flask on both frontend and backend. We will intentionally first break it, see the exact error that we are getting, and then try to fix it properly using a package called flask-cors. So let's get started. I have already set up two Flask applications. If you see, this file is a backend.py file, this file is a frontend.py file. Let us quickly understand what these files are about. The backend API, if you see, we have some required imports and we are creating a Flask app, and this Flask app is running a API route, and this API route is the simplest route, which is just returning a JSON document, and we are running it on the port 7890. And the front-end app is serving a simple HTML template called index.html, and it is running on 7891. If you notice, both the ports are different, and that is the key. And I'll show you exactly what do I mean by that. So on this terminal, I will run my backend API, and on the right, I will run my front-end app. Now, if I go to Google Chrome and try to open, let me copy paste the front-end URL. You will see I am rendering this template which simply says course explained using Flask. For the sake of demonstration, I will open a inspect so that I can see the exact errors that we are getting, and I'll also increase it in size. Now I'll come here. So this is my front end, right? And my backend hosts this API on this URL. What I will do is I will try to run fetch and copy this URL, and I will put API after it because that's what we want to do. And after fetching it, I want to get the result and console.log the result, and this result is nothing but response. Okay, and also I need to specify the method, so I'll say method is post. Now let's save it and let's try to refresh it. You see this. Let's carefully understand what this error actually means. It has various components. So first of all, access to fetch at, so this is the URL that we are trying to fetch. Okay, and we are trying to fetch it from this website, which means we are trying to fetch it from this origin. So this is the origin of the request and this is the destination. Okay, now it is saying it has been blocked by the CORS policy. Okay, so by default this CORS policy is applied on the browser. So whenever the origins differ, the origins of two different resources or two different URLs differs, then this CORS policy will take effect. It can be unblocked by setting the access control allow origin header on the requested resource. So what I can do is, as a backend developer, I can come here and I can intentionally on the requested resource set a header of this access control allow origin, and I can basically in this origin, in this header, I can mention the URL this. this origin, which means I would trust this origin and I am allowing this origin to reach my backend to grab this resource. I hope it is making sense so far. So I will show you how exactly you will be doing that in a moment, but you should first of all uh, be very comfortable with the concept itself. What is the course error? Why do we get it? We get it because when we try to access a resource which is there on a URL which does not match, you can say, uh, the origin of which does not match with the requested resource. Okay. Now you might be asking, like, what exactly are we trying to match here? We are trying to match three things. Okay, let me open a notepad. So we are trying to match three things. First is scheme. Second is host name. Third is port number. So this you can think of this as a tuple. Now this tuple has to be exactly equal to be able to access this resource. So this is a default behavior. We can override it. We, we will be looking at how we can exactly override it in a moment, but by default, browsers enforce this policy that uh, the URL from which you are trying to access this resource, access any resource, must match the URL of the resource that you are trying to access. And when I say URL should be composed of these three things. So these three things should match. Here, if you see, first two are matching. Okay, so scheme is HTTP for both. Host name is 127.0.0.1, but port is not matching, and I intentionally kept the port as different so that this type of problem would occur. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, so this is the problem, and let's now understand what course actually means. So cross course means cross origin resource sharing. Okay, so name itself is should be quite self-explanatory. Now cross means two different origins, so two different origin resource sharing. So course policy dictates how will this be handled. Okay, now this type of policy is not enforced, let's say, if you try to access this resource using, let's say, Postman or maybe curl. The reason for that is from there we can't run arbitrary code on any arbitrary URL. Okay, so let's come to why course might be a good security feature. The thing is, it is expected that uh, let me also name this as origin. So this is known as origin. So suppose you visit a website, let's say www dot maybe some random website, walmart.com. Okay, and since you are visiting this website from your Chrome browser, what might happen is this browser in the backend of this code, this browser might have a fetch call to, let's say, your Facebook account or maybe Instagram account to basically make a post request. Okay, now what will happen is the moment you try to basically walmart.com will try to make a post request to instagram.com, we won't be able, normal people, common people won't be even able to see this, because all of these are hidden inside this inspect element, and most of us don't even know what inspect means. So what happens is Walmart has the capability to run arbitrary code on Instagram if if there is no such thing as course, if course is not applied. Okay, essentially what will happen is this Walmart and Insta are two different origins, which means they are cross origin, and if cors, if there is no such thing as cors, what will happen is this request might succeed. Now you might be asking, there are other things like passwords and all which are required, and usually when we use our browsers, we save these passwords, right? So what might happen is this fetch request might use those saved passwords, saved cookies or caches to send this information, and it might not even need those information like passwords and all. So that is why, since this is a very critical and security issue, this type of mechanism is in place in browser such as CORS policy. Okay, I hope you understand the problem using this example that I demonstrated. Now, who can override this issue? Suppose I go into my backend code. So my backend code is very, you can say, should be secure, right? I don't want anybody from browser to be able to call my backend, because this backend might hold maybe financial transactions or maybe some personal details that users might not want to leak. So I have the ability to, as a backend developer, to basically override certain, so basically allow certain URLs to be able to hit this backend, hit this resource. So how can I do that? So to be able to do that, what I'll do is I'll open a new terminal, and inside this terminal, I've already created a virtual environment. Here, I will install a package called flask-cors. Although this is a very simple thing to do, I can just go ahead and I modify uh, the response object directly, but let's use the flask-cors package because it integrates well with Flask. Let's run this. So now the package is installed. What I can do is, in my backend, I can do flask cors and import cors. Now in this cors class, what I'll do is I will basically pass my application, Flask application, and here I will say resources. Resources will be something like a dictionary, and this dictionary will take a key of which resource I want to apply this course to. And what will happen is here I can go ahead and so basically first of all I am passing the API as the argument, and then in the resources I can list down what are the URLs that I want to basically allow. Essentially, I want to allow these URLs from my backend API. Okay. So what I can do is I can set this resource key and set the APIs. And suppose if, let's say, you have multiple API endpoints, you can do something like star. It means any URL which starts with API, and after that anything is there, then I want to allow it. Okay, so after this I can set a key called origins, and this origins will be a URL that I want to allow. So I want to allow which backend, sorry, which front end. I want to allow this front end, right? So I will just copy this and I'll paste it right here. And if I save it now and let's refresh it now, you see now we are not getting that error. The moment I refreshed it, from our front end, we are fetching this URL and we are making a post request, and then we are getting the result and getting the response, sorry, and we are getting the response as type of course response. Okay, now what I can do is, from this response I can return response.json, and I can consume this response by adding one more then block, which will allow me to basically access this. Okay, so we are fetching it. Now if I refresh it, I should see the resource that I'm passing from my backend. So just to summarize, what is course? CORS implies cross-origin resource sharing policy, which is applied at the browser level, which basically blocks uh, resource sharing among origins of different among different origins, and one origin is defined by three pieces of information: scheme, hostname, and port. And if we have a different origin trying to talk to each other uh, in browser, CORS will block that. And if, let's say, the backend developer thinks that a given origin is safe, they can unblock it by allowing them. So essentially, when we pass this origin, there is a special key called allow access origin is applied at the header. I know I'm not writing this correctly, but you get the idea, right? So with this, I will conclude this video, and I hope this small 16 minutes video was able to explain you the concepts of CORS and how it might be a critical security feature in your backend application. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you want me to cover any such concepts in Flask in the comments. Thank you.